What's up, you guys? I'm Dan. This is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we're going to talk about geo-arbitrage. So what is geo-arbitrage? This is the idea of geographical arbitrage. Arbitrage is to take advantage of the difference in pricing between two locations, or could be any two different things. In this case, we're going to be taking advantage of the difference in the cost of living between two countries. So currently I'm living in Plano, Texas. I moved here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area this June of 2021, and I'm absolutely loving it so far. But definitely the apartment that I'm renting here is not on the super frugal side. It is a little bit spendy pants, actually. So I've got a video where I talked about how much I spend here. All in, I'm paying $16.14, but that includes a washer and dryer inside, also a private garage. And that private garage has electricity paid for that powers my electric car, so I don't have a gas bill. So, yeah, it's a pretty sweet place. The clubhouse here actually has a Starbucks machine, so no, I did not go and get Starbucks. So it is a nice perk, but definitely I'm spending a lot here, and I could be spending a whole lot less somewhere else. So, really what got me thinking about making this video is I wanted to talk about having a goal in mind. When I was younger, I used to know how to save a lot, but I would accumulate some savings and then I would just blow my savings because I didn't have any kind of long-term goal. Later, of course, I learned about investing and at least trying to get myself set up for retirement and in a more secure financial position where I wouldn't have to stress and this kind of thing. But ever since I discovered Mr. Money Mustache and the idea of financial independence, retire early, this has really motivated me because finally I had a thing to look for, a goal that I wanted to achieve, and I've been, of course, tracking my progress along the way, and it's been really, really motivating. So what is kind of the eventual goal? Well, I used to live in Bangkok, Thailand. I lived there just on the outskirts of Bangkok from 1994 to 1998, and I loved it. I had a great time out there. I lived there from the ages of 9 to 13, so I was pretty young, but these were some pretty formative years. Of course, I've been back to visit very often. My father lives there right now, and so it's just a place where I'd like to, at least for a while, try to set up in financial independence or when I retire early. And the reason, again, is back to the purpose of this video is to show how powerful it is to have geographical arbitrage. All right, so let's take a look at my budget here in Plano, Texas. And again, it is a little bit spendy pants. I used to get by spending about $5,000 or $6,000 less, but we'll get to it. My total spending right now is just a little bit over $30,000, actually closer to $31,000 than to $30,000. And again, my budget typically has been around $26,500, has been the budget that I've kept to throughout most of my working years. Just splurged a little bit because, well, I was moving here, getting an apartment sight unseen, and also, you know what, frankly, it's just more affordable for me now. I'm in a much better financial position than I was when I first started at my job nearly 11 years ago. So you can see the big bulk of that, $20,000 of that goes into the annual rent. But again, that also includes all of my gas costs because it covers the cost for my electric vehicle and also keeps it in good shape by being in that private garage. Then I've got my budget basically split into three categories. And I think this is also a useful thing. And we talked about this in my budgeting video as well a long time ago. Feel free to check that out. I'll put a link in the description below. Anyway, so we've got your basic bills. These are kind of things that are fixed on a monthly basis. So there's that rent, then electricity, auto and home insurance, and then I have an umbrella policy as well, just to protect my assets in case something happened, with one of those, with an accident, or if someone got hurt while they were visiting me or something like that. Then of course there's the yearly car registration, and then of course there's car maintenance, my mobile phone, and then also Max's registration. He's down here being silly. Then you've got some basic stuff. I've got some charitable contributions that I absolutely must, are a must for me. Then, of course, groceries we need to eat. That's $2,500 a year, or a little over $200 a month. That's up a bit. I used to spend less, but hey, there's been some inflation here with COVID, I think. Then, of course, we need to replace clothing as well. You've got things like home supplies, just, I don't know, dish soap and what have you, toilet paper around the house. Then there's Max's stuff, pet food and supplies, his vet bills, and unfortunately he's got a heart condition, so we're also taking care of some of his medical stuff as well. And then my dental care, my annual dental care plan, which is a bit over $300 a year. All right, so those are the basics. And then also our bills, our ongoing bills. And then we've got what I call variable luxuries. These are things that are in my budget. I love to have them, but they'd be the first things to go if ever things got tight or we had to really make a change. So that includes things like restaurants, budgeted about $25 a month, and I don't go out to eat very often, so that pretty much covers it. Although lately I've been spending a little bit more than that and also being a bit generous, but it's really nice to be able to do that. Then we've got pet boarding and travel. Those two kind of go together. And then sometimes I like to go to see a movie in the theater. Then, of course, I like to give gifts to my friends, and there's tax preparation. So for the variable luxuries, in total, we've got $2,600 a year. We've got about $5,000 in the basics, and then my ongoing bills, again, mostly rent, are about $23,000 to come up with that $30,700 annual total for my current budget. So now let's compare that to my budget for living in Bangkok, Thailand. There are a couple of really big differences between the two budgets, of course. One is that I won't need a car in Bangkok, Thailand, whereas you definitely need a car here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's one big difference, and of course that's going to be in favor of the budget in Thailand. And then also is that in general the costs are going to be lower. The biggest chunk of that, of course, the biggest expense annually is going to still be rent, and I expect to spend, I could actually get something cheaper. I could probably find a place for, I don't know, $700 or $800 a month. That would still be really good. But I feel like right now, I'd rather be quite comfortable, and so I'm going to set a budget of $12,000 a year or $1,000 a month for an apartment in Bangkok. Now, they won't be as big. That's something that you kind of give up. Living, of course, in a giant city there with many, many millions of people. There are about 1.3 million people in Dallas, whereas in the sort of urban part of Bangkok, like right in the city, there's around 9 million people, and in the greater Bangkok area, the population is more like 14 million. So a pretty big difference, and you can imagine why space might be more at a premium. I mean, especially because considering, this is Texas, right? We got tons of land. So in any case, the apartments are going to be much smaller. My apartment here, I think, is about 850 square feet, whereas the apartments that we'll be looking at today in Bangkok are more on the order of between 350 and 450 square feet. So about half the size. But there's a lot of wasted space here. We could really cram a lot more into a smaller space, and then we can also get some really, really nice amenities. So let's take a look at a couple of apartments before we move on to the rest of the budget, so you can see what I'm talking about there. So I picked a couple apartments that are near the Ekamai Skyline Station. Well, one of them is, the other one's near Tonglo. But basically, there is an elevated there is an elevated expressway in the Bangkok area for driving, but to get around downtown, it's much more convenient to use what's called the SkyTrain, which is a elevated railway, monorail. And this thing's air conditioned, very comfortable, and relatively inexpensive, especially if you're traveling on your own, whereas with a group, it might make more financial sense to split a taxi. Anyway, very, very cool thing, and so of course you want to live near these stations, or at least have an apartment that has maybe a shuttle or a tuk-tuk service to get you to the station, so that you don't have to do too much walking, unless you like that and want to get the exercise. I have a little trouble in my legs, so I'm probably going to look for something more convenient. Anyway, let's look at the first one. It's called XT Ekamai is the name of the building, and it's a condominium for rent for 14,500 baht. This is one bedroom. It's 32 square meters, which is right under 350 square feet, so quite small. But the rent, so, again, my budget is quite spendy, and I may, who knows, I may find a place that's more like $750 than $1,000. We'll see once I really start shopping. This place is just $445 a month. So that's pretty awesome. It's on the 32nd floor. Again, it is small, but the bedroom looks quite good to me. I wouldn't decorate it in this way, but hey, that's an easy thing to change. But you can see it has a lot of really nice amenities in the building. We've got one of those infinity pools up on the roof, which includes some kind of a jet tub as well on that level. And then we've got this beautiful pool table and kind of a clubhouse or sort of communal entertainment areas in the building as well. Now, if we want a little bit more space and to do something a little bit more spendy, here's another example. It's called Antique Palace. Again, this is in Tonglor, and they have a bunch of different options. They've got some more expensive apartments that are 65 square meters, so they're double the size. They're about the size of the apartment that I have here. Those are going for 45,000 to 56,000 baht. So still on average, let's say that's 50,000 baht. That would be $1,500, so quite spendy. The ones that I'm looking at are between 25 and 35,000 baht, so let's call it 30,000 baht. That would be $925 a month, so well within my budget. Here we can see what the building looks like. And here's the kitchen. They're all very space efficient. I'll probably be eating out a lot, so I won't need to cook all that much, but it is nice to have a combination washer dryer right there in the kitchen. Here's the pool. Not as cool as the rooftop ones or the ones that are up real high, so I'll probably be looking to find a place that's got one of those, but still nice enough. And then they've got a nice fitness area and also a sauna. Other places have amenities such as a squash court and tennis courts. Again, spaces that are premium, so it depends. You might have to go a little bit further out of the city for those kinds of things, but I'm sure I'll be able to find a really awesome apartment for $1,000 a month or less. All right, beyond that, again, we've cut out all of the car expenses, but in their place, of course, I've upped the budget for transportation. So we've got $50 a month or $600 a year for, taking the SkyTrain or getting a taxi every now and then if we need to. And then, of course, we'll have our basic utilities like electricity, which is more expensive on a kilowatt-hour basis, but it looks like I should be able to get by air conditioning the apartment for about $50 a month. Water's cheap. But a big bill that I've added in here, which I did include in my my Plano budget, by the way, in terms of my fire number, is health insurance. So now there are a couple of different ways we can go here. I looked at pricing 2 different global health insurances with Cigna. One would be to include all of the world except the US. Then another big expense that I don't have here is, of course, you need some kind of a visa to stay in Thailand. And what I could do is to do a visa run. But anyway, it would be a lot simpler if I just bought a Thai learning package, because I'll be living there. I might as well learn the language, and then I can stay there on an educational visa. So the package, which would include the visa help getting the visa and an introductory letter to get a Thai bank account, as well as 1 year's worth of Thai lessons. That comes out to $1,500 a year. So those are 2 big things that we're adding on here on top of the rent, and the rest of the stuff is relatively cheap. So I budgeted $50 for restaurants and $100 for entertainment. And I've increased my travel budget significantly. I put $2,000 for travel because I'll probably want to travel to Japan to visit my mother, or head to the United States, or to other locations around the region. And even with doing all that, we've got total basic expenses now of $17,200, so well below the $23,000 that we had previously. We've put our basics at $4,500 essentially. And then all the luxury type stuff is actually a big chunk of the budget now at $4,255. So that's a big chunk again of my total budget of just under $26,000. Now this isn't a bare bones budget. This is what for me feels like a very luxurious budget. I could probably again cut down the rent and cut down a lot of the other stuff and get it down closer to probably even the $20,000 mark or so. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of the way that you can take advantage of geographical arbitrage. So keen viewers out there might have noticed that I've only budgeted $1,500 a year for taxes. So why is that? And how am I going to actually be able to retire early and use my retirement funds, many of which are locked up in retirement accounts, before the age of 59 and a half? And that's going to be the subject of next week's video. We'll go over my withdrawal strategy and what taxes are going to look like in early retirement, how to access those funds early. And then I'll probably do a third video on the 4% rule, which is the rule that I use to determine whether or not I've saved up enough for retirement. So more of that coming next video. Hope you found today's video enjoyable and helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.